Hi, my name is Laura Slinsky. I'm the area leader for the math department, and I'm here today to talk to you about some of our math electives. Our electives don't truly start until after you have completed advanced algebra. That is the state requirements, and then you start to have some choice. The first choice you'll have is that most students will enter FST, Function, Statistics, and Trigonometry, but the alternative for that to get your statistics credit is to take AP Statistics with some trigonometry in it. Both of these courses would prepare you for any future math classes that you take. You can read a little bit in the first bullet point about some of the specifics that you'd be studying in AP Stats and Trig. Obviously, it's an AP course, so you have the ability to get some AP credit. But really, this would be for a student who has done extremely well in advanced algebra and wants a more challenging and rigorous statistics curriculum than the actual AP or FST class has. After you've completed FST and or AP Stats, that is when you really start to have some choices and you have to think about where you're at as a student. For any student who has really struggled with algebra and advanced algebra over their math career, we would recommend called College Algebra Prep. We refer to it as CAP. This is basically a class that allows you to really firm up some algebra skills. So you'll see a lot of the same concepts you've seen throughout your high school career, but it is really to prepare you to take placement tests in college. So whether it be the ACT or the AccuPlacer or just any college's entrance exam, it's kind of a way to get you ready for that. If you're not going into a mathematical field, almost all students in college have to take a class called College Algebra. So this class is really to get you ready for that. If you're someone who has done pretty strong or been a pretty strong student in algebra throughout the way and you want a little more of a challenge, we have a sequence that is Introduction to Mathematical Science into, and I'm going to switch the slides to a College Algebra class. This is a semester 1 class, is the Intro to Mathematical Science. The College Algebra course is the second semester. Introduction to Mathematical Sciences is a way for students to get college credit through Bemidji State University, and the problem is you can only get the credit if you had at least a 20 on the math portion of the ACT. So if you got a 20 or higher on the math portion of the ACT, you could take this course to get yourself some college credit. Now, this would mostly be geared towards students who got a 20 or 21 on that portion, because if you scored a 20 or 21 on the math portion of the ACT, you can take this class first semester, and then second semester you can go into College Algebra. College Algebra is different than College Algebra Prep that I already talked about. College Algebra is a class that is also through Bemidji State University where you can actually get college credit for this College Algebra class. It's worth 4 math credits that can be transferred to most schools. Now, obviously, it won't be all. The one thing about this class, though, is you are only eligible for that credit if you did one of two things. If you scored 22 or higher on the math portion of the ACT, you can take College Algebra without the prerequisite of Intro to Mathematical Sciences and get the college credit. But again, that's a 22 or higher on the math portion of the ACT. The reason I talked about this should say 20 or 21. The reason I talked about Intro to Mathematical Science first is a student who scored a 20 or 21. And again, I'm going to change this on the slide as I'm doing it. So this should say 20 or 21 on the math portion of the ACT, and you completed Intro to Mathematical Sciences, then you are eligible for the College Algebra credit. So unfortunately, anyone who scored lower than a 20 on the math portion of the ACT is not eligible for college credit in either Intro to Mathematical Science or College Algebra, so your best option would be the College Algebra Prep class. Beyond those two classes, we also have a course called Discrete Mathematics Applications or Concepts. This is a semester 1, semester 2 class, but they're 2 separate classes. The nice thing about the discrete math classes is that you can take first semester, you can take second semester, or you could take both semesters. So you can take it for a full year, or you can just choose a half because it's 2 different courses, but they're not dependent on each other. Discrete math would be for a student who has a high algebra base. So this is not for struggling students who struggled through algebra. Again, that would be the college algebra prep class. But you have a strong algebra foundation, and you're really just looking to take something that's a little different. Discrete math is kind of a different branch of mathematics. So it would be if you just don't feel like going into pre-calculus because you're not going to take calculus in college. Or another way you might use discrete math first semester would be if you had a 22 or higher on the math portion of the ACT, and so you don't need Intro to Mathematical Science. You could take discrete math first semester and college algebra second semester. So those are some of the ways you would take discrete math, but again, this would be kind of for a level of student who would be at the level of a calculus course or college algebra course, but you're just looking for something different. Then we have pre-calculus, and again, pre-calculus would be the class for a student who was very successful in their algebra sequence, which includes Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, and you pretty much have the intention of taking calculus in the future. If you're not interested in pursuing a career in mathematics, but that would require calculus in college, you could probably look at some of the other classes. Having said that, you might want to talk to your counselor pending the schools that you're looking at, because some schools like you to be taking a class that shows you're leading towards calculus. So that would be a question for your counselor or your math teacher. Those are all your options for once you've completed FST. So once you get through that, again, many of you would be seniors, so you don't have to worry about the rest. But if you're a junior who just completed one of these courses, then if you completed college algebra prep or college algebra, you would probably go into pre-calculus. Really, the rest of this is for anyone who completed pre-calculus. Then you have the option of AP Calculus AB or AP Calculus BC. And as you can see on this slide, your pre-calculus teacher will make a recommendation for this class. But typically, AP Calculus AB is a good fit for anyone who did pretty well in calculus, but was not necessarily an A student all the time. And then as I switch to AP Calculus BC, again, you should be getting a teacher recommendation. But this is for anyone who had kind of a solid A throughout pre-calculus. We strongly encourage you to follow your teacher recommendation as you are choosing your calculus class so that you have the option to be as successful as possible. Now, if you're a junior, and if as a junior you take AP Calc AB, as a senior you could choose to take AP Calculus BC. So it is a possibility to take those back to back. And last but not least, if you complete AP Calculus BC, then you have the option to go on to our multivariable calculus class. But that is only for students who have completed AP Calc BC. So that is our math-specific sequence after you complete your advanced algebra requirement, and then that's the options you have. And then finally, as a math department, we also talk about the computer science classes that we offer, and we have 2 of those. And it's important you understand the difference. AP Computer Science Principles was a new class this year. This is intended for students who have an interest in coding and computer programming, but they don't have a lot of experience. So as you're thinking about this would be for younger ages. Usually you could take this as a 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th grader. This class is for anyone who has completed Algebra 1. And so really, if you've ever been interested in coding, but you just don't know much about it, this would be a great class for you to sign up for. And then finally, our higher level AP Computer Science class is the one that has Java programming in it. And for this class, there is a prerequisite of, it says Advanced Algebra FST. If you were very strong in Advanced Algebra and you really want to take it while taking FST, that is a possibility. But usually kids take it after FST. The focus is to use Java, and then there's a lot of written work as well. Both computer science classes would be geared towards kids who are interested in problem solving. But again, the AP Computer Science Java programming class would be the one that you need to take after Advanced Algebra for sure, and usually after FST. Now, having said that, one thing I want to be clear on is that you do not have to take the Principles class in order to take the Java class. They're 2 independent classes. with kind of different visions. So you can take the principles class, and if you love it, you could take Java. But if what I described about the principles class doesn't fit you, if you have a lot of experience in coding already and you love it, you would just go right to the Java course. That's all I have. Thank you so much. If you have questions, you can contact Laura Slominski with the math department or your counselors. Thanks.